What's up everyone, good to see you again. I have another YouTube video for you today. It is a demo review of XTS versus Froyotech, and I'm really excited to bring this to you because, to be honest, I haven't brought a demo review back in a long time and I need to do more of these. I've gotten some really positive feedback from you all. Look, you want to watch invite players, you want someone who can sort of digest the information for you, and that's the goal for this video today. I wanted to give you some tips that you can take back to your team, take back to your TF2 centers, your mixes, your UGC, ESEA, TF2, whatever it is, and give you some ideas of things to work on, things that you can use, and some ideas that you can experiment with. So today we're watching Decimate from XTS, and this is a real treat of a match because it's two of the top 3 teams in North America right now. XTS is currently undefeated. Sorry for the spoiler alert, they took down Froyotech in this regular season match on Granary, and it's worth watching Decimate because he plays a fantastic game, really solid, and I think you'll enjoy the demo. So I plan on doing more demo reviews in the future. Don't forget to leave something in the comments. Let me know who you want to watch, what you want me to review. If you have any questions at all, I'll type back to you and answer them. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the demo review, and I'll see you in the next video. See you. Alright, so we have XTS versus 4G, Exertus Esports versus Froyotech on CP Granary. This is a Season 17 ESEA-Invite match. And before you guys ask, I am using 2 different Spectator plugins to get the outlines and the nameplates. I'm using Spectator Tools plugin, and I'm using Status Spec. Both these tools can be found on teamfortress.tv. Fabulous, absolutely great plugins. Can't say enough good things about them. So without further ado, let's get into this demo review of XTS's Decimate. Now this demo review, I haven't done too many scout reviews in the past, and so I'm mainly reviewing this demo to show you guys just a bit of what a high level scout looks like. When you play scout at a lower level, when TF2 centers, or you're playing it in a pub, it just looks different. And if you get to see an invite player playing it, the class at its best, that gives you a better idea of what's going on here. So right at the very beginning, you're going to see the scouts pistoling each other off at the start. And the reason is if you push across the point, you will get isolated into a 2v1 scenario or a 3v2 scenario, and you don't want that to happen. So immediately from the start, you can see the scouts taking the high ground and pistoling. The pistoling removes the crit heals from the enemy scouts and gives them potentially a chance for an advantage here. Now, immediately you see on the right side of my screen that Badonsky has 15 health, and so XTS are in a terrible position going into this middle, and they're likely going to lose. So let's see how Decimate handles the situation. Looks like he's still pistoling Lansky, reloads his pistol. You're going to see him pull out his scattergun soon. Oh, one more thing about the pistol. The reason you use the pistol instead of the scattergun, you could use the scattergun to remove the crit heals, and it's a lot more consistent for some people to use the scattergun because the spread is very consistent, but you really need your scattergun shots to be loaded and ready to shoot any incoming soldiers, and that's why they use the pistol. So you can see Decimate looking to shoot the soldiers off the high ground. Again, they're down 2 players now, and Badonsky was really hurt, so they had to put a lot of heals into him. Not looking too good here for XTS, and yeah, 4G are going to take this first middle. Not much that Decimate could have done. If you saw what 4G did, they did a lot of damage to Badonsky, made him play passively, and then they were able to work off of that. And Decimate didn't, there weren't that many openings for him. There was no soldier with his back turned. As a high level scout, you really want to be shooting people in the back if possible. And there was really no openings for Decimate. So he dies, even Ubers, Fragile escapes alive, and looks like they're going to even out here for second point. So in an even Uber scenario, what you would like to do ideally is pick off any overextending players if they offer themselves up. Most of the time at this level, they're not going to do that. In Decimate's case, Blaze over here is overextended, so he has an opportunity to push Blaze with this health, and you can see that Blaze is at 129 and Decimate's at 185, so this is actually a decent opportunity for Decimate. So Alpha goes down. Can Decimate get this kill on Blaze? Blaze has the height advantage. Here comes Melee to help him out here. So 5 on 5. Ubers have been popped, and Decimate is looking to collapse onto the yard here. He's taking an early fight here against Lansky. One thing you'll notice that soldiers at this level don't do, or scouts, sorry, at this level don't do, is they don't commit to a fight that they're not going to win. And that's a point that I really want to stress to you guys is don't commit to a fight that you're not going to win. Now, what is committing? Committing means you're crossing this invisible line That prevents you from being able to back out. Once you cross that line, there's no backing out. You have to fight until you die. 2-man enter, 1-man leave. And high-level scouts really try their best to not commit to a fight they don't know that they're going to win for sure. You saw that happening when Decimate was fighting against Blaze on the stairs, and you see it again here against Lansky. He starts shooting Lansky, takes a rocket, and realizes, hey, if I commit to Lansky here, there's a chance that I might die. So rather than having that happen, he's going to play it slower, and look how many hurt players there are on 4G. If Decimate just stays alive, they're going to win this fight. Lansky goes down eventually to Soldiers. Decimate, not greedy for the frags. I like what he's doing here. Playing area control. Looks like Duatna is going to go down, and it's going to be a 5-on-2, and Decimate is going to put some capture time on the middle. Now, at this point in time, you have to figure out, okay, do I chase or do I capture? And in Decimate's situation, a lot of hurt players, a lot of players that are respawning for his team, catching up, and you got to remember that 4G has some forward spawners coming in soon, within 5 seconds. So Decimate, if he pushes into yard and chases that medic, that combo, he's going to put himself in a numbers down scenario, right? It'll be like a 1v4, 1v3, not good for Decimate. So he's going to cap here, wait for his team to catch up. Now, if his team stacks it, they might be able to deny Duatna. Actually, they will be able to deny Duatna from forward spawning, and that will be really good for them. There will be no double man, no traps, and now Decimate has his team. He has the heals with him, and here they go, picking off Blaze. Badonsky, unfortunately, going down. Nice play there by Blaze, but Decimate, look at him, just playing zone against the scout. He knows now, in this situation right here, the reason he's chasing Banny is because he knows Banny is hurt. Look at the health. Decimate's at 132, Banny's at 41. So Decimate knows that he can push Banny here in this situation, and guaranteed will win that fight 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10 at this level. When you're playing at this level of the game, the scouts all have generally the same DM, and that's what I want you guys to look for when you go back to your matches and when you're playing your pugs. If you have generally the same aiming ability as the person you're playing against, you're looking for other things, other advantages that will get you the win. So man advantage, uber advantage, and then past that you're looking for health advantages, positional advantages like high ground, things like how many shots does he have loaded. If you can count the enemy shots, you can take advantage of that and find an opening. In this situation, Decimate has a clear health advantage. He has 3 times as much health as Banny, and so he should be able to chase this and finish off this frag. Nice job there by Decimate. That's 4 down for 4G, and Decimate now, again, not committing to a fight that he's not guaranteed to win. If Decimate were to just push in this situation, looking around, there was nobody following him in Z, right? And there's nobody coming here on the shutter to the right, so Decimate is all alone here. If he pushes this, it's a 2v1, right? And Decimate wants to keep his advantages. Thinking back to a game like Counter-Strike, for those of you guys who play it, when the enemy team is down in economy and they're using pistols and you have guns, you don't want to give up any guns. Sure, you can trade 1v1 and it's fine and no one's going to complain about it, but when you have guns and the enemy team has pistols, you don't want to lose any of your guns. It's better to save your guns than it is to trade for a guy who has pistols. In this situation, XTF has a number advantage, so you don't want to give up anything here. Fragile has a 30% number advantage. You don't want to give up too many trades, too many frags, because it'll give the other team a chance to get back into this fight. So Decimate, he's going to focus on staying alive, and by staying alive as a scout, it benefits his team greatly. The more scouts you have alive, the less other people that you need to capture the point, and that's extremely important. Scouts have a 2x cap. You typically leave 1 scout to cap, and the rest of the team pushes forward and tries to take this fight. In this situation, Decimate can put time on point, and then it could be a 4v2 if XTS catch up quick enough and push into the enemy team here. You see Decimate capturing, shooting stickers out the point. Alpha's actually wrapping around on the backside. He's going to try and make a play on the shade. Does get spotted out by Duatna, goes down. Decimate, though, okay, so even though Alpha made the play, Decimate stayed alive, did his job, and by capping, it allows the rest of his team to move forward. And I'm really stressing this point over and over again. You're going to see this time and time again. Don't commit to a fight that you're not guaranteed to win. And I really like what I'm seeing from Decimate here. Playing on the point. Capture goes down. Exertus go up 1-0 on Granary. So last mid, if you're looking from Decimate's perspective, you're thinking, okay, what do I need to change on this mid to succeed? And last time, there weren't that many openings for Decimate, and to be honest, the reason why they lost mid, it wasn't on Decimate. Decimate didn't make some sort of monumental mistake that caused them to lose, so he's probably going to do the same thing again, and Badonsky is going to be the one to tweak, because he's the one who took too much damage last time. So you see Decimate on the high ground here, again, same pistoling thing. They're pistoling down Duatna. Interesting choice to pistol down Duatna off the beginning, they're probably doing that because Duatna was lit. Bonansky probably hit a couple stickies. Duatna's at 56 health. They're thinking, okay, pistol down Duatna, put him in a bad scenario. Bonansky's in the same exact scenario though. There's an 8 health difference between the two. In terms of the scout health, it's practically identical. So it's a pretty even fight going into this mid. You do see Mela going for a bomb in the enemy garage. And when you're playing as Decimate, obviously you can't see through walls, but you gotta remember that the reason we need to be able to see through walls is because the enemy, or because the teams that are actually playing have mumble, right? They're telling each other, okay, I'm in, you know, I'm hitting Duatna, he's hit 100, or Mela's like, I'm going into garage. This is the play that they're set. So we have to be able to see through walls. We have to assume that Decimate knows everything that's in front of you, through the walls, and also on the right side of your screen. Teams are very conscious at this level of the uber percentages, the health, and etc, etc. So just assume that all the information is known off the start. Decimate here, just chipping away, making sure he has 6 shots loaded for when he actually needs to push. Goes into Clockwork, realizes he can't really win this. He should be able to win this fight here. Clockwork is so low, Shade's so low. Decimate just, he didn't commit to Clockwork right away. I'm not quite sure why, because if he just, you know, they just pushed through, they would get this. If you look at the numbers right here, it's Mela and Decimate versus Duatna, Clockwork, and Shade, so it's kind of like a 2v3, but the health is so bad on 4G that Decimate should be able to just push in here and get this. I think one of the reasons he might have hesitated is because Clockwork was above the health pack, maybe, but if Decimate pushed forward, he should have gotten this kill either way, so I'm not quite sure what the hesitation was, but either way, Decimate should be able to push in here and clean up all these frags. What I really like what XTS is doing here is they leave a scout to capture middle, and then they're going to leave a scout again to capture 4th point. By keeping both of their scouts alive, XTS can continue pushing the heavy classes forward. Remember, scouts are one of the fastest classes in the game. The slowest class in the game in a 6v6 is medic. So it's all about moving your medic forward as quickly as possible. In this case, Alpha caps middle, Decimate caps 4th, and then they can push the number advantage into last. And what some teams will do is instead of Decimate capping 4th, they'll actually, Decimate will like half cap it and then push last and then let Alpha finish it off, but it's all the same here. XTS, the bottleneck in that situation was capping 4th point because their team was already on last. So nice job there by XTS. They're actually up 2-0 against 4G. And this match actually happened a couple weeks before I-52. So 4G at the time is supposed to be, you know, the #1 team, if not the #1 team definitively in North America at this time. Decimate, again, same thing, pistoling Duatna, pistoling Blaze. He didn't even bother reloading his pistol, he doesn't care about it. He needs to be able to kill Blaze quickly. Gets him down, reloads, pushes the point. Ignores Lansky. Costs him some health for that. Nice. Cool. I'm acutely aware that many of you guys who are watching this are just getting started in competitive play, and Scout's one of the easiest classes to pick up, so just getting an idea of the general flow of things. Get to mid, pull the pistol out, shoot the demo man, and then pull out your scatter gun and take down the roamer as fast as you can. You know that roamer is going to try and get aggressive. Take him down ASAP. From there, you can try and make a push happen. It didn't work out for XTS on that last mid. 6v4 here, so you know XTS are going to push. They're going to take left yard. Decimate has his buff. He's ready to push out right side. He's pushing out the right side by himself, and this is what I call a 5-1 split. 5 of the team is on one side. You got one guy going by himself on the other side. All they're doing here is making sure that 4G doesn't try anything fishy. No funny business, no backcapping, but you can see on the scoreboard that both of the scouts are dead from 4G, and that severely diminishes their ability to backcap. So even though Decimate's going right yard, he's 95% sure that 4G isn't going to go for a backcap here. He's just going just to make absolutely doubly, triply, you know, sure that there's no backcap, no funny business. Still 6v4, so XTS want to push this in. In this situation right here, Decimate is in a close quarters fight against Lansky in Garage, and you gotta remember two things. One, positional advantage is key, and two, health advantage is key. In this situation, you see Lansky, the pocket soldier, has the beam on him, so Decimate, you know, he can't take an extended fight. The longer the fight drags on, the worse it is for the player without heals. And in this situation, Lansky has the heals, so the power's in him. The other thing for Decimate too is that, again, close quarters is pretty terrible for a scout. There's not that many ways you can push up against this soldier without him being able to deny this. Soldiers are one of the best classes at denying choke points, spamming a choke point, making it hard to cross through. Scouts excel in wide open areas, so this is a losing fight for Decimate. He doesn't want to commit to this fight. Lansky, the reason Lansky backed off is because it's still 6v4. So Lansky's thinking, okay, if I stay there too long, someone's going to flank me from the side. So Lansky's slowly backing up, and this is a concept that I will cover in other videos, but Lansky has to give up that space, and Decimate takes it. I think this is a little bit greedy here. Lansky's at 200, Decimate's only at 62. He's probably going to die. Yeah, he dies here. So, you know, on the one hand, Lansky's backing up and giving space. On the other hand, not the best call for Decimate to take that space and commit to a fight where he's going to lose. Okay, so Kritzkrieg was used by, I'm not sure what team, I think it was the Fragile. I don't want to bother checking. I think, yeah, it's the Fragile. So the Fragile is on crits. He actually makes it out alive here. Ubers are going to reset, and Fragile might come out with a Kritzkrieg advantage. We'll see. In the meantime, Decimate is going to buff up here. And one thing I want to mention is that, yes, scouts are not that good at controlling choke points. And so on the one hand, you could say Decimate, oh yeah, cross through this choke point right here, because scouts are bad in choke points, so push through and try and fight second point. The second point isn't captured yet, right? Wrong. XTS are down a player, and one player in 6v6 is kind of a big deal, especially when you're on defense. Defense meaning that you don't have control of middle point. In this situation, 4G is on offense. If they have a man advantage, one man advantage is good enough to win any team fight, basically. I mean, 4G is going to win a team fight 6v5 pretty much every single time. Same with XTS against 4G. Another thing to keep in mind is that Alpha is on Spy, and even though Spy is technically a player, you typically count Spies as half players or even not even players at all. Spies are not direct combat classes, and so because they're unable to take part in a team fight, they're just kind of useless. They're just invisible people walking around, so you can't really count them as a player too. So it's a 4v6, so Decimate's best call is to just chill out here and not take the fight. Oh, part of being an invite player, if you want to get good at this game, you kind of need to see the future, right? You need to know what fights can I win on paper and which fights can I not win on paper. A 4v6 fight, you're never going to win that on paper. So you just kind of need to know going into this, okay, I have no chance of winning this. You know, what are my odds of winning this? You don't want to commit to fights that you're not going to win from the start. You have to know you're going to win the fight to take it. On the other hand, of course, you don't want to give up all the space and let 4G just waltz into last point. So you can see XTS are just basically playing them to slow them down. They need to stall 5 seconds for melee to spawn. Sorry for all the pauses, just trying to cover everything. Decimate here, he's playing back. He knows that their number's down. They don't have soldiers. Melee's down, so they're going to have a hard time covering this left side choke. So Decimate's not going to overcommit to this. You see Alpha actually hiding in Z, so he's calling things out to his team. Combos coming out the right side. Lansky gets dropped. Uber's popped here. And Fragile has Kritzkrieg, so this might actually be decent. When you have a Kritzkrieg, you typically use it on the Demo Man. It's the highest damage dealing class with the Kritzkrieg. Demos are really good at long range spamming. So Badonsky probably has an angle on the combo. What they're looking for is for players to sacrifice into Fragile when he uses the Kritzkrieg. So Decimate's got to play defense here. Got to make sure that no one attacks his medic. That's why he doesn't chase out the Clockwork here. He's just making sure that no one gets on his medic. As long as that happens, they have numbers up, they can go here. It's kind of like a 3-on-3, kind of like a 4-on-3 here. We'll see what happens. Decimate tries his best to hold off Clockwork, takes him down. Nice job there. And he's corner capping. He doesn't want to take the heals. You want the heals to go to your heavy classes that are locking out the chokes. Now he can take the heals because they're about to push in the next point here. And again, once you take a wide open space, that's when the scout becomes active. So choke points, not so good. Wide open areas, this is good. 6v5, Decimate, what he's doing here is he's not looking to take a fight. Decimate is pushing the flank to back 4G out. If there was no such thing as a flank in this game, if there was no garage, if there was only the left side choke on Granary, you don't need 6 players to lock down one choke. You only need like 2 to 3, and you can pretty much do the same thing with 2 to 3 people as you would with 6. And in this situation, even though it's a 6v5 in favor of XTS, if XTS were to try and burst through that choke, they'd be in deep trouble because you only need a couple players to lock down that choke. So what Decimate's doing is he's moving the flank, but he doesn't want to commit to any fight here without his team being able to come in. And he knows that 4G is stuffing that left side choke hard. They don't want to, at 4G does not want to let XTS come in for free. So Decimate can't commit to any fight here. If he takes any fight, it could be a 1v1 or a 1v2, and that's bad news for Decimate. He doesn't want to take any fight that he doesn't know he's going to win. So he's just moving that right side, and 4G has to adjust that flank. They have to back off and give up that choke, and that's what's going to allow XTS's combo to push through this left side choke here. Now, unfortunately for XTS, they didn't move as quickly as they wanted to, and that respawner comes up for 4G, and XTS calls off this crit. I'm not sure if it's the right move or not. Oh, it looks like they're going to go for it after all. They take down Blaze. They really wanted 2 picks here. They only got 1. And so this Uber's popped and Decimate. Oh, we're playing a dangerous game here. I'm not sure I like this. He's dead man. Yeah, didn't like that play. I like the start of it, at least. Benassi got the crits. They got a pick. And Decimate moves forward knowing that 4G, he needs to force 4G, potentially. But once he forced them, he kind of had nowhere to go. Lansky did a nice job of trapping him, and then Decimate was a dead man. But at least they got that Uber force. It's very difficult to play the Chris Krieg versus Uber game, and XTS is clearly not having the best time with it here. Yeah, they're gonna lose this round. Uber beats crits every day of the week, and if you're gonna play crits, you gotta get 2 picks. They only got 1. That's gonna cost them the round. Not too much that I would have changed if I were Decimate. Potentially, I think he could have done a better job of pushing through Garage rather than coming back around to that left side choke. But he didn't have a buff at the time. Who am I to criticize Decimate? You get the general idea of what they're trying to do. We're probably gonna see the same thing on this next mid, guys. Pistols out, targeting the Demo Man. Let's see what happens. If you see it 3 times in a row, you know it's one of their main strategies. And yes, this is their main strategy. Pistols out, pistoling to Otno. He goes through about 1.5 clips. I would suggest no more than 2. If you go for 2 to 3 clips of pistols, you're probably being too late. If you before the soldiers arrive at middle, there's a 3v3 fight between the 2 scouts and the Demo Man. And the 3v3 fight, like I said, you don't want to commit to anything that you're not guaranteed to win. So if a player pushes across, he's likely not going to win unless some player is extremely hurt and you have a significant health advantage. You really shouldn't be committing to any fights in this situation, right? And you can see on the right side of the screen, the health is pretty even. After you fire about 2 rounds worth of pistols, a round and a half, your soldiers will have arrived, and that's when the main fight happens, and that's when you need to have your scattergun out ready to actually do some fighting. If you're a scout on the high ground here, you want to be shooting at random targets and tapping them for a little bit of health. That will deny their crit heals. Crit heals plays a huge part. It triples the healing efficiency of a medic. So denying crit heals is a big part of playing scout, a big part of playing hit scan. Deny crit heals a couple times, but make sure you have enough scatterguns loaded for when that bomber comes in. And you're gonna, Decimate, he's looking for Blaze, right? He sees him off the top side there on that catwalk, and that's his main focus. Oh, there's another soldier on the right side as well. But yeah, that's the general idea. And you can see the way XTS is playing. They pick off any overextending players, and then they have the man advantage to move. And look at Decimate, just focusing. He's putting all of his effort into killing that roamer, making sure he's dead, and then moving off of that. No crazy plays, no rushing for the Demo Man, no trying to get medic picks. Just nice, safe, conservative, well played by Decimate. Keeping that high ground, taking on the roamer, and then staying alive long enough to cap. If you don't stay alive as a scout, you're doing your team a huge disservice, because XTS, because Decimate capped, they're allowed to move forward and capture 4th point for free, using that number advantage that they got from winning middle. Even Ubers here, and I can't stress how important it is to stay alive, if possible, as a scout. Soldiers, roaming soldiers, have a lot more leeway in terms of dying. Scouts really need to do their best to stay alive, because if you stay alive, it allows your team to move forward. They wouldn't have gotten that 4th point as easily if Decimate had died. Oh, Blaze, nice sneaky move from Blaze there, takes down Decimate. A big misplay there from Decimate, unfortunately. He should have gotten a buff, and he wasn't even aware that Blaze could have come up here. And honestly, from the rest of XTS, if I were Decimate, I would assume someone was watching the upper doorway as well, but Blaze did a nice little sneaky move, got through there and took down Decimate. And potentially open up a play here, forcing the Fragile and exchanging the Ubers. But Duatna is down, and it's time to push. XTS going in already. Alpha dies early, but it's still 5-on-5, and there's no demo man for 4G, so they know they're going to take this fight. Decimate keeps his crit heals and pushes in right away, and because the enemy team has a sniper, that's when you get aggressive. If the enemy team is running a sniper, the typical strategy is sit back, let my sniper take long-range pot shots, and defend my sniper for as long as possible. XTS don't want to let 4G do, don't let them do that. If they have a sniper, push aggressively and take away their sniper's advantage. The sniper's advantage is long-range sniping. If you take the fight closer, you can put it right onto him there and make him hit really tough close-range shots. And what I like about Decimate and what he's doing here is engaging with the combat classes, engaging with the scout, engaging with the soldier, because the sniper is not that good in a team fight scenario. Sniper is much better when the teams are just sitting back doing nothing. So I like how Decimate is choosing to shoot the scout soldiers despite having a one-shot kill class on the field. You can see that sniper is powerless to defend the last point. Really like what Decimate did there. XTS are in the lead 3-1 at halftime, and I'm going to fast forward through halftime here. Pretty surprising, actually. Like I said before, 4G supposed to be the #1 team in North America at this time, and at the ESEA Season 17 LAN, XTS actually placed 4th. So this is a big turnaround for them. They're actually I think this is their 3rd season together. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, it's their 3rd real solid season together where they're guaranteed to make LAN, I should say. And I really like how they're playing this match out here. So 3-1, Decimate having a pretty solid match so far. I'll show you the stats after this match is over, and you can see that he had a really good game. But he's not going for anything crazy, I haven't seen him take any fight intentionally where he knows he's going to die going into it, except for that one against Lansky earlier on in the garage. All the other fights he's taken are pretty reasonable, and Blaze snuck on him. He had death there that one time, but this is pretty good. I like how, the other thing too that's really nice about playing Scout on the catwalk is that your air control, the height advantage. If you play as a Scout on the low ground, you have a limited ability to shoot the soldier out of the sky. The soldier, his job is to walk across mid as far as he can and then go for a bomb and try and land on the demo man's head, because the demo man is defenseless at close range. So by playing on the catwalk, Decimate puts himself in a position to shoot the soldiers before and intercept them before they can get to his demo man. If he plays on the ground, he's in the same position as his demo man. He's not in a position to deny that soldier. I like what he did up there. The reason he's dropping down is because the medic is on the ground, right? The Fragile's on the ground, so Decimate at half health needs to find heals. Also, if you sit on the catwalk the entire game, if you sit on the top of the crates the entire game as a Scout, you're not in the best scenario. You're not really pushing across the point. You're kind of just staying very passive on the high ground. And passivity works at the beginning when there's no soldiers into the fight. But once the soldiers have done their bombs, you need to get aggressive, because the soldiers at this point for 4G, for both teams, the soldiers are reloading their rockets. And that's the best time for a Scout to sneak in and get a shot on a soldier. One really key important concept that I want to cover is health and how much a soldier can kill you. So I said before that soldiers are really good at killing Scouts at close range. Soldiers, if they hit a perfect rocket, they're going to do 100, I think like 110 damage with a rocket is pretty much the max, right? So just say 100 damage a shot. If they kind of miss and they hit you with splash damage, they're gonna hit you for like a 60 damage shot. So if you have a 185 buff, that's why it's so important. A 185 buff allows you to eat 3 rockets before dying. If you only have 125, you can only get 2 rockets. The soldier only has 4 rockets, so if he has to hit 3 rockets on you when you have 185, you're practically invincible. A lot of times, a soldier will use a rocket on a rocket jump, or they'll save a rocket to rocket jump out of a bad fight. So they basically have to hit every single rocket on you if you have a buff. If you don't have a buff, they can miss a rocket and still kill you. So in this situation though, once the soldiers bomb in, they've used all their rockets already, right? They were shooting at your medic, they were shooting at your soldiers, they're shooting at your demo man on the ground, right? So at this exact moment, when they're reloading their rockets, that's when you need to get active as a Scout and try and take them down while you can. Gotta be careful with the other Scouts though, and you can see Clockwork on the point right up in Decimate's face here. Not the best mid from XTS. The soldiers from 4G did a surprising amount of work. I like what Blaze did actually at the beginning. He kind of did a fake bomb and baited some shots away from XTS, and then Lansky did the actual real bomb, and he didn't really get punished as hard as he could have for how much damage that he did. I would have liked to see Decimate punish Lansky harder on that last mid. Even Uber scenario, 5v6. Now when you're in a 5v6 scenario with Alpha being dead, it's tough, right? You're gonna lose the fight on paper, 6v5. So what you're looking to do in this scenario is force the Uber at the chokes as early as possible. If you could force on a second point, that would be ideal. That's why Alpha sacked or something. If you can force on second point, that's ideal. If not, you have to force as early as possible. And Greener has a very large last point, so you can force early and then kite. And scouts are really good at doing this, you know, forcing and kiting. Unfortunately, the hit scan weapon needs to be close to do any significant damage to force an Uber, so it does put Decimate in a dangerous situation if he wants to get a force. Whereas for Demoman and soldiers, they can spam from long range and get a force, no problem. So, but you know, dire situations call for dire measures. I don't know what you would say. Basically, you have to do it. You got to do what you got to do here. 5v6, you got to get that force because Alpha's not going to be up for another 14 seconds, and something has to happen here. The best that XTS can hope for is a better Uber by forcing Shade early. And I like what Blaze does here to force this Uber, and unfortunately Decimate was not in a position to deny Blaze from bombing. If you recall what I said earlier on middles, if you're on the ground, you have no power to deny the bombing soldier, and you could see from Decimate that he was on the ground, and no one was covering that upper doorway, and Blaze got in for free and forced that Uber. So this is a terrible situation for XTS now. And I'm pausing a lot, but there's so many things happening quickly. I want to make sure I cover everything. This Uber coming in here is going to be a terrible Uber. Decimate knows going into the situation that his Uber is terrible, right? Blaze got a one-man sack off for free. Shade is going to pop this Uber here. It's going to be fantastic for 4G. So Decimate, the best he can do is try and force the Uber and then get out alive. Maybe I mean, that's best case scenario. That's likely not going to happen because 4G will likely punish Decimate. If Decimate gets into a situation where he knows he's going to die, he's going to instead run away from the last point because 4G want to push the last point. So if Decimate can distract them by pulling them away from last point, that would be ideal. So Decimate's going to force here. He actually does get out alive. Wow, really nice there by Decimate despite the situation. And it's actually a 6-on-5 fight for XTS. This isn't that bad after all. Mela trades with Clockwork, still 5v5 here, not too bad. Decimate has a I don't like this fight he's taking here. It's no, okay, 2v2. You can see both teams, right? They weren't sure who's gonna win that one, and good thing Decimate had a buff to stop that scout from coming in. But you could also see that Decimate didn't commit to that fight, and actually the other scout didn't commit to that fight either. Kind of funny. Even Ubers. It's going to reset here. That was actually a really nice defense by XTS because Blaze had a good force and 4G didn't capitalize. That was really nicely done by XTS. Oh, key pick by Alpha. Typically in this situation, what you're going to want to do is sacrifice a roamer or a scout. Looks like they're going to sacrifice the roamer. Mela's already in. He's dead. 5v5. Reset. The reason you sacrifice a player in a 6v5 scenario is because the Mela, his spawn is actually closer to last point than Clockwork's spawn. So even though Clockwork has a better spawn time, Mela spawns closer to last point. Now unfortunately Mela got like literally the worst spawn possible. He's on a 20-second timer. That's pretty much the max. That's the max amount of time that you could be spawning. So unfortunate for Mela that he didn't die at a different wave. But unfortunately that means that 4G could push the 5v5 and Clockwork can run in as a scout 6v5 after the Ubers are exchanged. So this is... Oh, actually, Melee got the force. My mistake. Melee made a really good play. Got the force onto Shade. So this is actually really good. My mistake. Let me recap then. So because XTS had Uber advantage, it's like I said earlier about CSGO. If you have guns and the enemy team has pistols, you don't want to mess up. You don't give any free frags here. There's no reason for Decimate to take the 1v1 against Banny. He should just play it safe and then push with the Uber. Uber is popped, upper, XTS are pushing Uber versus no Uber on the second point, and Decimate, you're going to watch him here, he's not going to chase, he's going to cap. Cap time is extremely valuable for his team. Scout down. He's just chipping off the health for Clockwork there. When you're fighting at that range, you might ask, you know, okay, don't take a fight you're not going to win. Why should you even bother shooting at Clockwork in that scenario? At that range, the scouts at this level can do like 60 up to 80 damage if they hit like a really sick shot at that range. So they're basically kind of just hitting a couple shots on each other to see, okay, did I hit that huge shot? Did I do more damage to him than he did to me? If I did more damage to him than he did to me by a significant enough margin, then I will chase him, and you'll see Decimate chase Clockwork. But if Decimate doesn't do enough damage or Clockwork doesn't do enough damage, they can't really commit to the fight, so they're just going to back off and just let each other be. Now, Clockwork actually did more damage to Decimate there, but Decimate hits an insane meat shot, and this is like an MGE technique, but if you're losing a scout, so let's say both scouts are 185, and Clockwork does 60 damage to Decimate. Decimate's at 120, and Clockwork's at 180. Clockwork is gonna push, right? The only way for Decimate to win without getting help from a teammate is by bringing the fight closer. Because if Clockwork would have stayed at range and chip shot him, the max damage on a chip shot is not that much, so eventually Decimate would lose, right? But by taking the fight closer, by Decimate fighting Clockwork at a closer distance, the meat shotting potential is way higher. So Decimate was actually able to hit just 2 nice shots on the Clockwork there. The reason Clockwork chased Decimate is because he knew that his only chance to kill Decimate was by, you know, fighting right then, right there. Because if he'd waited just a couple moments longer, Decimate would have had more teammates to back him up there, and Clockwork's window of opportunity would have closed. So Decimate did a good job holding off Clockwork on that right side, trading some damage, and then backing off when he was losing against Clockwork and hitting those sick meat shots, clutching right there. It's arguable that Decimate should have died there, but nicely played. The other thing too, I like what Decimate did there, is when he's under 125, he just plays it extremely slowly, just very, very conservatively. He does not want to die, and he doesn't know what's around the corner, so why take the risk? Just heal up and then push once you have enough health to push. Scouts are really good at clearing traps, by the way. It's very hard to hit a trap on a scout compared to a medic, soldier, or a dental man. So you'll see scouts leading through these chokes very frequently. Nice pick there on the Clockwork. And now with this number advantage, they're looking to push. And they know that Shada doesn't have Uber. So I didn't quite like that play there from Alpha. But what should have happened there was either Alpha or Decimate caps the point, and then they push the 5v5 into last. Or the 5v5 into last with Uber advantage. In this situation, because Decimate has to cap, it's going to be a 4v5 into last. So they're still going to go anyways. Uber is better than a one-man advantage. They just have to wait a little bit longer for Decimate to catch up because they need a scout on this Uber. Scouts are really good at cleaning up Ubers. Nice. I think it's arguable that Decimate could have stayed alive in that last push. He didn't have to just die on the point, but they were going to win that either way. Same pistoling thing. The reason why Decimate is going for the scouts instead of the Devil Man is because the Devil Man is not in view. Duatna is hiding behind that right side crate, and he's not an option. So Decimate's going to take the crate heals off of the scouts. Very aggressive here from Decimate. He hit a lot of shots there. No one was shooting at him. That's what you want as a scout. The ideal scenario to be in as a scout is shooting people at close range and they're not shooting at you. That's one of the hardest things to learn as you're getting better as a player is, okay, what situations can I engage in and which ones can't I engage in? And Decimate was able to get really close to the enemy without them shooting at him for the longest time. Yeah, that's all there's to say about it. It's tough to figure, to give a blanket rule of what you should and should be doing. But yeah, the general idea is shoot them at close range when they can't shoot you back. If you have teammates with you that are distracting them, that's the ideal time. But that's probably one of the hardest things about learning to play Scout is finding that opening. I like how Decimate is baiting Clockwork in. I'm not sure if Clockwork's on tilt or whatever it is, but Clockwork is chasing these fights that he should not be chasing. If you notice, Decimate would never take a fight that he wouldn't guaranteed win, or at least guaranteed do a lot of damage, as you saw in that last middle. Clockwork, on the other hand, he just pushes in on Decimate in the 1v1 and says, hey Decimate, I can take you on, let's go. And rather than play into that game, Decimate just backs off. I would argue that Decimate and Clockwork have DM that's on par with each other. 9 out of 10 people would say that Clockwork has the better DM over Decimate, and maybe that's what Decimate is factoring, or sorry, that what Clockwork is factoring into his decision to take the 1v1 against Decimate, because, you know, we talked earlier about different advantages, right? Number advantage, uber advantage, health advantage, positional advantage, etc., etc. Once all those things are even, all you have left is your ability to click on the other person perfectly, right? And if Clockwork is better than Decimate and he feels that he has that advantage there, he might take that fight. And I've seen Clockwork do this before. What Decimate does that's really great is he put himself in a position to be covered by a teammate. And rather than make it a 1v1 against Clockwork, he brings Rando into that fight with him and makes it a 2v1. And XTS should win the 2v1 every single time. And that just greatly increases his chances of winning. And Clockwork, if he played it smarter, shouldn't have taken that fight. But I like how Decimate played that there, and that's what you guys should be doing too. If you are playing against scouts that are higher level than you, right, better DM than you, don't take that 1v1. You know you're gonna lose it. Bring other players with you. In this situation, you know, Decimate doesn't know he's gonna lose the 1v1 to Clockwork, but why not increase your chances by having a teammate help out? So because Clockwork is too good. Alright, I was gonna say they're gonna push here, but that was a sick trap by Duatna, completely blind. But still sick nonetheless. That completely turned this push around here.
Alert. The control point is being captured.
Unfortunate for Decimate, he took the crit heal damage. He lost his crit heals. Didn't get crit heals there. And not the best 1v1 either against Clockwork. Clockwork had more health than him when he took that fight.
The control point is being contested.
I'm not sure why Decimate committed to that fight other than the fact that his medic died. So maybe he was just trying to, you know, keep that fight going in order to make that happen. Actually, I'm not even sure if his medic died. I shouldn't say that. I'm not... I must have just zoned out. I don't know why he took that fight. I apologize. Too lazy to go back and check it over. Again, I'm not quite sure why he took that fight either. They look like losing fights to me. If I miss some other kind of cue, like his medic dying and he needs to sacrifice 4 or something, that's probably why he'd go in, but I have no idea why he went in.
Alert. The control point is being captured.
Wow, sick. That goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that fight against Clockwork. Both scouts were 185 going into that 1v1, and they kind of just sit at a range where they're not committing to each other, and they just kind of poke at each other until one guy hits more shots and realizes that he can win the 1v1. And the thing about Clockwork is he just charges in no matter what. He's like, I'm going to beat Decimate, screw you. And Decimate stood his ground, hit his shots, and finished him off. I really like what he did. In this situation here, he's loaded up. Not the best, but he has enough shots left, and Duatna's so hurt, he might as well just go in and finish him off. He's waiting for health and to reload. And corner capping. It's not ideal for the Fragile to put the health on the scout there. Putting health on scouts is generally not a bad idea as a medic, but you know, you want to make sure you lock them out of the chokes there. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough players on second point to do that. And you can see how bad like even for a player like Decimate, it's so difficult for a scout to properly lock down a choke point. He was trying to lock down that left side shutter, but there's really nothing he can do there without dying. See, in this situation too, so look at where Decimate's playing. Oh, I kind of wish I rewound back like 5 seconds, not 2 seconds. But Decimate was playing back at the barrels, because this choke point is so difficult for him to fight. I'm not quite sure why he's taking this fight, other than the fact that Mela took down Banny and maybe just going in to help out. It just looks like a bad 2v2 here, but we'll see. Oh, I got the force out of it. And boy, am I wrong. Nice job. Well, I guess that's why Decimate's an invite and I'm not, right? Oh, unfortunate. Decimate saw something I didn't. I want to go back and analyze that. Let's go back to 80,000. I would have expected Decimate to play back at the barrels and just kind of stay there, and again do that chip shot thing. I'm surprised to see Decimate take that fight in Lunchbox and force that Uber. So we're rewinding back a little bit farther than I want to, but let's watch it back over again. Fragile uses Uber and Shade has Uber advantage. It's 5v5, and you know 4G are going to get Uber and then eventually push with Uber advantage and potentially win the round. So XTS needs to use this momentary number advantage to get an Uber force. So it's 6v5. Alpha dies, so still 5v5, but they need to force the Uber here. And the thing for XTS is that they have to force the Uber on the second point. If they wait until the last point, they're going to lose the round. So they have to force the Uber here on the second point. The two classes that you want to be getting this force are Decimate and Mela. You typically don't want to see your Pocket Soldier doing it, even though he is, you know, people ask what's the difference between a roamer and a Pocket Soldier. They essentially perform the same role, but they really don't. In the North American meta game, roamers are used for dying, pockets are used for living, for the most part. So, you know, you don't want to lose Rando, you don't want to lose Badowski, you don't want to use the Fragile, so it has to be Mela or Decimate to get this force on the second point. So it's Mela. Okay, they get the pick on the Lansky, so it's 5v4, and XTS have one player to sack to get this force. Once they get this pick onto Banny, they should have 2 players to sack to get this force. So yeah, Mela takes the fight and says, I'm doing this, they're here. And once Banny goes down, that's when he goes in for the force, because it's 5v3. So Decimate just needs to put the pressure on, get the force, and then kite this. And because it's only one scout right there, it's so easy to get that force and kite. Clockwork doesn't have enough shots to finish off everybody. And if he chases Decimate, let's say Clockwork goes invincible and starts taking down Decimate and gets him low. If Clockwork chases Decimate, that opens the door for Mela to chase Shade once the Uber comes off. So Clockwork has to play defensively, and so Decimate knows he can go and get this force and get out without dying. Or at least that's his mindset going into this. Interesting choice to shoot Clockwork instead of Shade. Curious to see why he did that. Maybe Shade would, if he shoots at Shade, Shade will get out with the Uber and not die, and Clockwork will have a lot of health still. But by shooting Clockwork at 64 health, Clockwork has to play defensively throughout the entire Uber. Maybe that's why they did it. Aren't you glad we took a second look at this play to see why he did this? Didn't you learn something? That was great. Okay, 5v4, Ubers are off, and that is why Decimate wants to push here. Duatna looks like he could potentially be isolated and killed. 112 health on Duat. He could throw stickies at his feet, but he's stuck in a corner and Decimate can chip shot him and kill him. That's kind of what he's doing. Duatna did a nice job not getting backed up into a corner. And that's why Decimate chases here. Okay, I would have liked to see Decimate not let Duatna out like that, but it's tough. He did what he could. And ultimately, Duat hit some pretty sick pipe pain train combos to finish him off. And the reason he chased after Shade was because Shade was at 30 something health. Not the worst play in the world. I kind of would have wished that XTS would have kept more players alive. If they kept XTS, if XTS kept Mela and Decimate alive, it would be a 5v4 with Uber advantage pushing middle. Instead, it's a 3v4 defense on second point. So, not sure I agree with that play, but that's That's a story for another day, right? Okay. Uber advantage push here. 5v6. XTS, if they push middle, it could be risky. They could get wrapped. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. And Decimate's not quite there yet, so XTS aren't going to push this. And Shade is dangerously close to getting Uber, so XTS should probably call this push off right now. Looks like they're going to start the push, though. They're going for the catwalk. It's even Ubers right now. They shouldn't be going. But Decimate's going to go anyways. And in this situation, if you believe that you have Uber advantage, you should be committing multiple players to the fight. If you believe that you can use the entirety of your Uber before they get Uber, then you should commit a lot of players to the fight. That's why 20% Uber advantage is so important. However, XTS looks like they knew that the Ubers were closer than 20%, and so that's why both of the scouts are going down this left side choke. This is clearly a solo Uber play on the rando to see if they can maybe get the Ubers out of the way and go for an exchange, a favorable exchange on middle. Let's see how this works out for them. What I really like about what Decimate's doing here is he's not playing the front lines. There's no point in him playing super close and potentially getting wrecked by the Uber, so he's kind of playing back and keeping his crit heals. Clockwork is probably going to deny them, but we'll see. Nope. Unfortunately the fragile goes down. This play is just so, I don't know. That sucks. Yeah, that Uber was popped really early and 4G popped their Uber really late, so didn't work out for XTS there. I liked it in theory though, you know, solo the Ubers, maybe come out with a favorable exchange on middle, but you could see when we were in yard like that, I was like, don't go, but they probably didn't know how close Shade was to getting it, and they got forced so early. I like how Decimate changed what he did. Last time, if you recall, he played on the low ground down here. This time he plays on the high ground and covers the upper door so that way Blaze can't bomb in and get that force. It's small changes like this, just adapting throughout the match. I love it. Once the soldier moves up to cover this door, again, soldiers are better at covering chokes than scouts are, so once the soldier moves up to cover it, then Decimate doesn't need to hold that spot anymore. I prefer to see the scouts typically on the right side pipe, because the right side pipe allows them to shoot a bomber coming out a window or out a shutter. Decimate's essentially doing the same thing by sitting on the right. Yeah. I like to see the demo man covering the left side of the map and the scouts covering the right side of the map. What Decimate's doing right now is he's backing up to the fragile to get a buff before this team fight happens. Before any team fight happens, you want to get a buff. If you wait until the middle of the team fight, or God forbid after the team fight, you're putting yourself in a risky scenario where your other teammates are too hurt and now you can't get your buff. If you can predict when the fight is coming in and you're playing with a good medic, and I have to qualify that, if you're playing with a good medic, you recognize the team fight's coming in soon, you get that buff before the team fight happens. A lot of lower level medics, unfortunately, when you're playing a TF2 center or TF2 mix, they're not going to buff you. They're oblivious, they heal their soldiers demo and they completely ignore you. You just know that they're in the wrong. You should be getting buff right here. That's what Decimate's doing. He's backing up, making sure he has the buff before the team fight happens. He's like, where's my buff? He's looking, he didn't get it. Quite unfortunate. And the fragile pops on nothing. He's backed up for it. I don't know why he didn't get his buff. Maybe fragile backed up too much, or I don't know. I'd have to watch that play back again to see exactly what happened, but he had the right idea. Back up, get the buff before the team fight. Okay, the score is 4-2, XTS in the lead. And it looks like there is 18 minutes left in the half. So plenty of time left for TF2. Decimate has done the same exact thing for 6 middles in a row. Let's see if he makes it 7. Oh, this is an interesting little change. So Duwatna says, okay, I'm not going to allow you to come out upper. What does Decimate do in this situation? He's really fighting to clear this and takes damage right before. Oh, dang. I don't know if there's anything Decimate could have done to prevent that from happening, other than not going through the door. But it's not like he walked into damage that he saw coming in, although Duwatna did have that sealed off. But the pipe just came in at the perfect time. I don't know, it's unlucky, kind of. I think Decimate should have not gone through the door.
Time has been added.
Maybe get the buff, go underneath, push onto the point. But hindsight's 2020. Even Ubers, anytime it's even Ubers, you do not want to get flashed as a scout.
Alert. The control point is...
It's unfortunate. So, I said, even Ubers, you don't want to get flashed as the scout. If you pop your Uber first and the enemy team is nowhere to be found, you could think of it as an advantage Uber in this area of the map. And so, that's when you bring your scout in.
captured.
If Shade was there, it'd be a completely different story. You wouldn't see so many players on the Uber. But it ended up being pretty nice that Decimate was there and they finished off those frags. That was good. Shade backs off with Uber, but XTS has a 2-minute advantage. They're gonna try and push in and force Shade. Shade's down to 50 health.
The control point is being contested.
Here he goes. Oh, he drops him. That was sick. That was nice. XTS fighting the 4v5 with heals. There. Hopefully Alpha doesn't get committed here. Oh, poor Alpha. But 4v4 here, and XTS still has the heals, so they're looking pretty good here to take back middle. Decimate needs to catch up. Decimate needs to catch up ASAP, get his buff, and begin clearing space, because by the time he gets there, the Fragile will be very close to getting Uber. 90% right now, so Decimate needs to start moving forward. And again, anytime you're about to team fight, get that buff. So he gets the buff, moves forward here. In terms of leading an Uber advantage Uber, oh, so yeah, let me go back. Even Ubers, you don't want to take Uber at all, because the more people you involve on the Uber, obviously, the less time your Uber lasts, and it's bad for your team. Uber advantage scenarios bring as many people into the fight as possible, right? Now, in terms of who should lead the Uber, you could lead a scout, you could lead a soldier. Most teams will prefer to lead the soldier, because the soldier, the second they see the Uber coming in, they're going to run away, and the scout can chase. But the soldier, he can't chase as easily, so the pace of the fight is controlled by the slower player. In this case, that's the pocket soldier. And Decimate, as a scout, has more options in terms of choosing whether or not he's going to engage a fight. That's the scout's main advantage. You don't have to commit to a fight you're not going to win, because you have the ultimate choice in whether or not you're going to engage in a fight. The scouts are the fastest class on the field. They can choose to take any fight or not take any fight. Any death that you take as a scout potentially could have been preventable. So you want your soldiers to lead the Uber first and then have the scout follow through later, and that way you don't overcommit yourself to a bad Uber, etc, etc. So Decimate playing behind Rando here.
Our control point is being captured.
A 1v2 for the lose.
Alert. The control point is being captured.
Not a perfect play. You can ask yourself, why did Decimate take a 1v2? But it looked like those scouts were going to go for a back cap, so Decimate was going to have to engage them at one point or another. If he lets the scouts back up all the way to second point, on the one hand their buffs would have decayed, on the other hand they would have a health pack to play on. I don't know if Decimate should have taken that fight right then and there, but that's what he went for. So it was kind of a bad scenario all around, just to have those scouts in that position. Looks like Shade has Uber advantage, and XTS are potentially setting it for a wrap play, and they're also setting it for an Uber force. So if the Uber were to come through here, Decimate would call it, and Alpha would be hiding in the corner, and then Alpha would spring out and try and force the Uber, and you'd be a one-man suicide for the force. That's good. That's what you want. If the Uber comes on the left side of the map, XTS can rotate the heals to the right side and push their heals through and shove through right here. And do a back cap play, but it looks like Fragile's playing on the left side of the map. I'm not sure they're going to go for it. I kind of like the setup they're going for. It's actually a 2v1 right here if they go for it. Alpha, please! Alpha's still hiding. He's wondering if that Uber's coming from that side. Alpha trades the 1v1 with Blaze. It's actually a 1v2 because it is Alpha versus Blaze and Banny. And Decimate gets caught in on that Uber. He tried to back out the same side as Como backed out. Perhaps should have considered backing out Garage instead. Fragile uses Uber. Okay, so it's gonna be 4v5, and yeah, I don't know. You know something really interesting? It's not really interesting for most people, but it might be interesting. Is that every time Decimate spawns, he almost always gets crit heals as he comes up to the medic, whether they're about to team fight or not. He you know, that's very good. Get those crit heals, because when you spawn with crit heals. Okay. Uber's popped, and in about 5 to 10 seconds, XTS are going to be an Uber advantage scenario. So, once you're in an Uber advantage scenario, you want to take a scout in on the Uber. So Decimate needs to position himself in a place where he can come in on this Uber and take some of it. Rando starts leading the way, and Decimate's getting ready to join this Uber here. Unfortunately, he's not in the best spot to take some of it. Ends up going to his demo man instead. You can see that Uber wasn't quite as effective as they wanted it to be. It's still 5-on-5 after the Ubers come off. If they had Decimate in on it, it might be a different story. They kill Blaze at least. Clockwork, they're on him. Oh, they get him. Okay, that's 2-man advantage. Not anymore. Oh, what's he going for here? An Uber Force play? Ooh. Ooh. The choke is real? No, we got it. Oh, and the health pack. What a wizard. What a wizard. Oh my goodness. The health pack just wouldn't spawn for him. But that was still a good play. You know, that's about as much as he could have hoped for on his individual play. As far as everyone else on his team, I don't know, it didn't go so well for them. But oh well, Decimate did a good job with what he wanted to go for an Uber Force or a medic kill, and he got it. So that's all he could have hoped for. 5v6 on last, a very similar scenario. We've seen this before. Wow. You see how low Decimate is, and he's still able to hang so close to the enemy team with his pistol out? I wish I could recognize openings like he could. He knew he was safe there, or if they shot at Decimate, that it would open up an opportunity for another teammate. If you guys are on YouTube, you should rewind that and watch it again, because I don't know how he knew he was safe there. Nice, nice. This round has been back and forth. Score's still 4-2. I don't know how much time is left in the half. I'd guess less than 10 minutes. Hold on a second. I'm gonna. One thing you'll see scouts do is build Uber like this when they're with their medic alone. Typically you want to be seeing the pocket soldier doing a lot of the building, but if it's just you and the medic alone, go ahead and build your Uber for your medic. It doubles the rate at which the medic builds Uber. So hurting yourself and keep yourself under I believe the number is 177. If you stay under 177, you'll build Uber twice as fast as if you were over 177. That's why you see Decimate using the Bastard Masher here to hurt himself.
Our control point is flat. The control point is being captured.
Ooh! Ah! He was in a good position to kill Blaze, but he just couldn't back out. Alright, we're almost done with this demo. Pretty close match so far. I mean, 4G's put up a pretty good fight here, but XTS still in the lead. They got off to a good head start. 3-1, then 4-2. Looks like 4G coming down that right side. That's the positioning I was talking about earlier. You know, Decimate is not the right class to be holding on to a choke point. And Decimate's putting himself in a position where he can instantly bail as soon as the heavies get there. Because Decimate, let's say the door was open and Duatna is right there staring at him in the face. There's no way Decimate's going to do as much damage to Duatna as Duatna's going to do to him. So the way Decimate's positioned here is that as soon as that door opens, he can back behind the wall. But the reason he's not behind the wall right now is because he needs to know for sure that the enemy is coming down that side. Now, he already had that door open, right? He knows the combo is coming down the right side yard, but Decimate wants to get that timing down. He wants to deny crit heals. He wants to slow down the enemy team as much as possible. And one thing he can do here is pepper them to deny crit heals. He might lose crit heals himself, but it might be worth it. And he can also just be there as a threat to slow down the enemy team. If Decimate wasn't there at all, 4G could just waltz right down for free. By being there, he slows them down a little bit. You know, he makes them take shots, slows them down just a little bit. Yeah, you can see he's making Banny back off. If he wasn't there, he wouldn't be able to do that. He's gonna have to give it up eventually because he's just not the right class to be engaging the doorway. But he's just guarding that flank. Really like how he's doing it. They get the pick on the clockwork, and here they come out into the yard. Alpha, I think, went drop down, or he went for some kind of wrap play. 6-on-5, you sack a player, pretty standard. He actually gets to Duatna, wow. So this is definitely green light go, push. They force shade. This isn't the best scenario for XTS, but it's definitely a winning one. They should be able to come out on top. Nice. The reason I said it wasn't the best scenario is because they had a lot of players coming into the yard when Shade popped that Uber, but the combo for 4G was dead either way. Uber advantage, and potentially XTS could win the entire match right here.
All right, feel good.
50% advantage. Scout down. They should be able to pull off the entire match right here because of clockwork going down. Go, baby, go. I like how Decimate kept onto his crit heals here, but I'm surprised the Fragile didn't turn around and quickly get him up to 185. He still has crit heals. Doesn't matter. Game over. Nicely done. Okay, guys. Well, apart from, you know, me dropping my keyboard and all that other nonsense, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, don't watch this demo once and then never see it again. I gave you guys a lot of information. I spilled out my brains into this demo. You're probably gonna have to watch it a couple times just to make sure you got everything. It's like watching a movie, right? You watch it once, it was a good movie, you watch it again, and now you see things that you didn't see the first time. Take the knowledge that I'm giving you here and build upon it. Look through the movie again with the information that I've given you. Don't take fights that you cannot win. And that's gonna, I know it sounds easier than it is, because how do you know if you're gonna win? Well, you gotta make a lot of mistakes. You gotta lose enough fights to figure out which ones you're gonna win and which ones you aren't. And Decimate's been playing this game for longer than I have, so he has a lot of experience in that, and all these players do. But yeah, just if you know you're not gonna win the fight, don't take it. You can chip away at them, but don't commit yourself to that fight. If you know you're gonna win, commit. And you saw Decimate doing that a lot He was committing to scenarios where he knew he would get in a lot of damage. If you never commit, so if you commit to a bad scenario, you're gonna die, right? If you never ever commit, you'll never get close enough to do those meat shots, to do that 80 to 100 damage shots that you're looking for to actually finish off those kills, to actually do a lot of damage. I'm showing you guys the stats right here. You know, impressive game from Decimate, right? 25 and 21, no complaints there, over 200 DDM, a good overall solid game from Decimate, a good performance from him. There's one last thing that I want to talk about before I end this video, and that is that there's 2 scout roles. I don't know if you noticed, but you'd see Decimate a lot of times playing with the combo, playing with the heals, and Alpha would be kind of doing the flank moves and dying. That's the other scout role in the current metagame. So the one scout role, you typically have one scout that plays with the combo, and then you have another scout that plays on the flank. And I'll address this in another video as well, but you don't want both scouts playing Decimate's role, and you don't want both scouts playing Alpha's role. You typically want one scout doing each role. So this is a prime example of the quote-unquote passive scout role, the combo scout role, the one that doesn't give up too many deaths for free, right? He just plays a solid game, take fights that you know you're going to win, and put out consistent damage numbers, be there with your team to finish off people in team fights, and that's all you can ask for. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to follow me, don't forget to subscribe. Check me out on Twitch TV. I stream live 5 days a week, usually 7, and yeah, I'll hope to do more demo reviews for you in the future. Leave something in the comments. Let me know who you want to watch. What player interests you? What class interests you? Let me know if this is helpful. Was it too advanced? Was it too boring? Was it too slow? Should I talk about more advanced topics? Should I talk about more basic topics? Whatever you want, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.